Ta-da! Okay. Hey, Jim Main's here. I wasn't ready. I didn't think it was gonna work the first time. Hey, give me a suggestion for a door prize at the beginning, like a digital door prize. What can I give out? Some sort of image, right? Maybe plans for a certain type of arrow or something. I can just send out something like a digital plans for some artifact reproduction with dimensions and all that. I can do that. I used to do dimension drawings for a living. Styley Designs is here. Roy is here. Yes. Martin Hill is on board. Bren is here. Afternoon. It's Friday night. Yeah. I'm early because I figured I would have to try to do this several times before it actually worked, like usual. Try to get it to go live because it doesn't go live a lot of times. And I got to delete the first videos because they just show up as, upcoming. John Turner's here. Good evening. So the first hour is all chat, okay? If you're brand new, which none of you are. But just in case, because we got 14 watching and only not that many commenting. So if you're new, the first hour is just chat. It's a Bants stream. The second hour is when I start napping. And what am I going to nap? I got it right back here. I got a lot of Georgetown chunks like this that someone gave me. They're from a quarry and they're damaged and they're blocky. And I sampled this one, or somebody sampled this one and didn't like it. So I ended up with it. I collect all this stuff if I can, and if I know I can use it. Yeah. So that's what I'll be napping. I will be napping Georgetown, cruddy Georgetown. Now, when you can find a nice smooth area with no cracks or stress fractures, right? It naps well. The lighter colored Georgetown naps well. The darker stuff is when you start getting into the bad stuff. TGIF, yes. Styley Design says, early bird, yes. JF Baird is here. Please hit the like. Everybody hit the like buttons. Oh yeah. And I'm looking into problems with memberships, right? Because YouTube, I've heard, is quirky when it comes to channel memberships. So I'm not going to generate any members only content until I can figure out how to become a member. First of all, I'm pretty sure I know how to do it already, but I just want to make sure that I know how to find the membership button on the phone or on a computer, and then make sure everything works before I start generating membership content or members only content. Yeah. I got some ideas already. Let's see. Jim Main says, what's the trick to those nice even notches on your Cahokia points? The trick? A good flaker. That's the only trick. I use steel. And it's got to be very thin. And the steel is the only thing that holds up to that kind of thinness. And you just got to be very patient. To get them like a Cahokia style, they're straight in and they got a straight bottom on them. They're very geometric. You've got to be careful with those, because those guys were probably using little copper pressure flakers or some sort of bone or antler that was extremely hard that we're not using. Like there could be some weird thing like I don't know, jaguar skull bone or something that they use to nap those little notches, or alligator gar scales from huge, gigantic gars, right? Something, they use something to get those notches squared off at the bottom. And to look geometric like that, you've got to have a very tough notcher. So there's no trick really, except for a very thin, strong notching tool. Yeah. Ronald is here. Hello. Bill Taylor's here. Wow, I'm early. Yes, you are. Graylin is here. Good evening from Southwest Louisiana. See, he knows. He announces where he's from. That way everyone can go, oh, I live near there. Or, not everybody, but some people. They go, well, there's more nappers than just me. Just knowing there's more nappers within a 50-mile radius makes me happy. It makes me happy. Yeah. There's a couple of nappers up here in Vermont. But they're stealth nappers. And, just the one state over in New York, we have Bushy, or, Frodo Joe. He doesn't live too far from me. It's only 3 hours, actually. 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. And who else we got up here? We got somebody in Connecticut, I forget. And we got someone in Maryland. I forget who's where. Jim Cooper. Hey, Pat, I sent your package out today with the grinders and sweet amoeba flakes. Even a bit of pipe tobacco for you to try. I also sent you an email with the tracking number of the package. Okay, awesome. I tried to check my emails earlier. I did. I tried to answer them. I don't know if I answered everybody. But earlier means before 5 p.m. Eastern, which you probably sent me a message after that. Right? Yes? Let's see. So I've been doing yard work today. I am working on a side project today. These side projects take me all day to do one. Yeah. So I'm almost done with it. I've been working on a half a day. But later on after the live stream, I think I'm just going to do some couple of videos. I have unboxings to do. Patrick says, I have now made 14 arrowheads after watching this channel over the past 3 weeks. I'm feeling confident now. I'm going to try obsidian. Sweet. Yes, do it. Ronald says, hey, Jack, have you attempted to make a bow yet? Just wondering. Well, not recently, but I've made many bows, but just not recently. I'm trying to get something set up in the back. I'm going to make a bow tree or set up a framework for a bow tree. I've got the components, the little scale that tells me how many pounds the bow is. I've got the pulley and that kind of setup. I got that from my old bow tree, but I just don't know where I'm going to put the new one because the shed is really flimsy. I don't want to be working on an 80-pound bow and have that whole thing rip off the plastic wall and hit me in the face. That kind of thing. So I'm thinking I'm going to put the bow tree on the hill on top and just set up a frame up there. Why up there? Because I got no room really in the yard, and I don't want everyone to see me working on stuff because it's distracting. I don't know yet. I might put it inside the shop if I can reinforce the wall somehow. Because right now I pushed on the wall and it flexes about 1 inch either way. It's just a plastic shed. So no, I can't be doing that. Mike Tufts, it's in the house. Hello, everybody, he says. But I've made many bows, and I don't even know how many bows I've made. It's under 100 bows. Somewhere under 100 bows, I think. Something like that. I haven't reached the 1,000 bow expert level. Okay? Not even close. And most of my bows have been either kids' bows or reproduction bows from archaeological data. Reproduction bows, just to see out of curiosity how these Native American bows work. And it's all physics. You find out that it's all physics, and you realize, some of these Native American bows don't shoot that well because the tips are really heavy. As an example. They're not really designed with speed in mind. in a lot of cases. They're designed for power, let's say, because the poundage on the pull, they figure that as long as it's hard to pull, it should shoot fast. But they didn't have the full training in physics like we do, so it varies. Some of them actually work really well, especially the California type bows. Yeah, any bows from the West Coast are usually excellent as far as the design goes, and the shootability. But you get into the middle of the country, and they look more expedient than they do effective. At East Coast, it's hard to tell because we have a lot of longbows in museums, and it's hard to tell if those were influenced by European contact or not, because we have also shorter bows on the East Coast, and a lot of recurves, heavy recurves. So I'm not sure if those have been influenced by Europeans or that's the way they made them. So I haven't made very many Eastern bows, but I've made quite a few Southwest and West Coast bows and Plains Indians bows, and then kids bows. Smallzilla or Harley is in the house. Hello. Just got in from making a Coshocton Church Snyder, Burlington Hardin, and unboxing some wild-caught Texas Church. I haven't heard that expression before. I plan on making a Montel. You got a favorite Texas point style other than Edwards? Do I have a favorite Texas point style? The answer is all of them. All of them. But I used to favor the Edwards. Keith says, hello, Patrick. Kiefer's made it. Yep, Kiefer's is here. Red-Eyed Patriot is here. Mike Mason, hey, yo. Ronald asks me, do you use a certain kind of wood for bows? My preferred wood for bows, my all-time favorite is juniper, right? Juniper, and then sometimes I sinew back them and sometimes I don't. Then my second favorite is Osage or Bodark, Osage orange. There's many names for it. Mock orange. So some people call it Bodark. That's Bodark wood. It's not Osage. It's Bodark. Okay, fine. What else? Oh, elm in the top 5. Elm's in the top 5. So Osage, juniper, elm, and I don't know. Let's see, what is it? I'm trying to figure out. I like mulberry. Trying to think here. I don't know. So you can make a bow out of almost any kind of wood, except for some of the real soft woods like pine. Okay. The softer the wood, the weirder it looks when you try to design a bow that shoots, let's say, 40 pounds or more, on the draw weight. If it's 40 pounds or more and you're making it out of a very weak wood, it starts looking really funny, really wide and all that. So it gets to be cumbersome. Ash, I don't like because ash, for me, breaks too easily. I got to make a really long bow if I want to use ash. Ash, I can't compact it. I can make a compact Osage or a compact juniper or a compact elm bow, those 3. I'm thinking hickory, but I haven't really made a compact hickory bow yet. I should probably do that because I got hickory out here, so I can get hickory. But yeah, I like bow wood that you can use for compact bows. 52 inches or smaller. 52 inches or small or less in length. Yeah. Why? I don't know. Because you can make a long bow 72 inches out of almost anything, even a branch. That you just take the little branches off. You take one limb, take all the branches off, and then all you do is taper that end that's not already tapered, and it's a bow. If it's 72 inches long, it's so easy to make a bow at that length. So I don't really find it challenging or interesting or whatever it is that drives me to make those on the long side. And I don't have any particular type of wood except for those three, because I can make compact bows out of those three: juniper, osage, orange or bodark, and elm. Ash I don't like because it always breaks on me when I try to make a short bow. I've tried to make a short bow out of mesquite. Doesn't work that well. I've tried to make them out of live oak, these Texas woods. No. The only Texas woods that I found that are any good are the elm and the osage. And the juniper. Yeah. They all grow in Texas. We don't have juniper up here. We got cedar, but I haven't tried the cedar we have up here in Vermont. But we have maple that's probably pretty good. We got hickory, and we've got cherry. I don't know how good that is. It's probably not that great because it breaks easy with a short bow. I don't really like sinew backing, although I've done it before several times. I'd rather do what they call a self bow, just a piece of wood, just shaped piece of wood. Okay. All right, what did I miss? Bruce Boda from Maine. He's a good napper. Hey, Ferdo Joe's in the house. Justin Cornelius is here. But yeah, I haven't made a bow recently that I can show on video and stuff. I mean, I've got bows already made, but that doesn't count. I want to be able to do videos on the process. Yeah. Dwayne Griffin is here. Hello, hello. Good evening. Let's see. Thanks. Jim Main says, thanks. It sounds like I have the right notcher. I just need practice thinning. Yeah. That's it. Thinning and probably, yeah. The thinner your, preform or your point, the easier it is to notch to an extent. It becomes very dicey if you want deep notches. It's really easy to notch a thin point with shallow notches, which is safe. But nobody wants to be safe. They want really, really deep notches on really, really thick points. That's like the worst combination possible. The best combination is the opposite. Really, really thin with big notches, big, fat, wide notches. Yeah. But no one likes that. No one likes that. They want the impossible. Let's see here. Who else? Who else is in the house that I missed? Dwayne Griffin is here. Jim Downhour asks about ash. No. Justin Cornelius says hickory. I like actually hop hornbeam better than I like hickory. I don't know why. That's just my experience. Hickory for me is a mixed bag. Whenever I've worked with hickory, it's like a multiple personality wood. Sometimes hickory is good, sometimes it isn't. And you can get a stave, it looks really straight and really good. And you start shaping it and all that, and you put it aside for a week, and it come back and it's all like one end has warped. What's up with that? And then you try to heat bend it straight again. And then you start working with it. And that part that you've heat bended somehow is acting really weird compared to the other end. You're trying to curl the tips or you're trying to tiller it, and it's just like, what's up with this one end? Whereas other woods aren't so weird like that, in my experience. Hickory is a mixed bag. It also has spots that are really hard and then really not really soft, but differences in the wood from one end to the next. Has been my experience with hickory, although it's very, very tough, and you can accidentally cut through the wood grain and it still holds up. I mean, it'll bend. It just doesn't look good. But yeah, if you want a fast, like a survival bow, hickory is it. Yeah. And you can shoot it green or dried, as far as I know. It's one of those woods you can shoot green without breaking it. Maybe elm is like that too, but anyways, we could talk all night about that stuff. JJ is here. Let's see. Mike says, Patrick, did you see the text message I sent you earlier about shipping to Canada? A text message? No, I did not see. Let me see. How earlier? 30 minutes ago? I was not answering. Okay, here it is. When did you send it? Oh, that's an hour and a half ago. Oh, sorry. Okay, shipping to Canada. Okay, so the V9R6P1 is a zip code, basically. Okay, so you put it in the postal code section. Okay. This is shipping to Canada. Their zip codes have letters. Okay, so that's what makes it look funny. But it's the postal code. Hope that answers the question. Yeah, it's not a street address or anything like that. Keith says, have you ever read the book that Dean Torges wrote called Hunting the Osage Bow? Nope. I've just read and reread the series, the Bowyer's Bible series, and I was on a primitive archer forum for years discussing bows and making bows. Charcoal Fish is here. Marcos Notches. You like the Marcos Notches? Posh Caveman 7? That's a good name. I just showed up from Northwest Pennsylvania. I've been lurking on the channel a long time. Well, you got a cool name. You should lurk or not lurk more often. Jesse says, happy Friday, Patrick and team. Scott Lauer is here. Awesome. Let's see. How did I become a member of your channel? I don't have a credit card. How do I? Roy asks, how do I become a member of your channel without a credit card? You might be able to pay through PayPal. There's options for payment, and I think it's either debit card or PayPal or Google Pay or something like that too. But you usually need a debit card for Google Pay. You might be able to enter your bank account information. It depends on, I haven't done it myself, so I don't know what pops up as options. Someone might be able to tell you on the chat. Posh Caveman 7 says you got to zigzag those square edges. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Okay, Red-Eyed Patriot in the chat is, he's good at knowing the workings of YouTube. So just ask him. His name's Michael. Yeah. Just ask Michael. Ask Mikey. He knows. He might not like it, but he knows. Roy says, hello, fellow nappers. Yeah. Bren says, I'm zigzagging something else as we speak. Puff, puff. You're puffing on something that you're also zigzagging. Let's see. Jesse says, Roy, it goes through PayPal, so you can set up PayPal with a debit. Okay. Jesse says the memberships go through PayPal. Scott Lauer says, I was using one of your boppers today again, Mike. Talking about Mike Tuft's boppers. I really like it. I can biface like a machine with it. There you go. Jim Main says, don't forget to smack the like button. There you go. Who else we have in the house? Ronald, thank you for the feedback. You're welcome. Roy says, Red-Eyed Patriot and the rest of the fellow nappers tonight. Yeah, we got the whole crew already. It's only 11 minutes past. What are we going to do with ourselves for the next 50 minutes? we're just going to chat and talk about whatever. Let's see. Patrick, this weekend, the 26th and 27th, the Michigan Flintnappers nap in at Ludington State Park. I'll be there Saturday to do some napping. Okay, yeah. So there's a nap in coming up in Ludington State Park. Okay, Michigan. All right, let me see. I've got a list of nap-ins. Yeah. If you need to know about nap-ins, I have updated the list. I'm going to show you what I've got on the Ludington nap-in. Yeah, here we go. It's let me get it up close. Michigan Flintnapper Summer Nap-In, Ludington State Park. The Warming Hut, Ludington, Michigan 49431, July 26th through 27th. And the contact is mrjk@michiganflintnappers.com. I recommend you do like an email or whatever, right? In this case, it's an email to let them know you're coming if it requires registration. Sometimes they want to know how many campers, if you're going to be camping there over the weekend, that sort of thing. So it's always good to contact the nap-in or someone there. That's why I always list a contact with all these nap-ins. Yeah. So just if you missed it, oh well. Try to go back and get a screenshot. If not, I can post it in the comment section. Oh, I'm posting an updated nap-in list on every comment section anyways. Yeah. So, but if you want a specific nap-in, I can also post that for you. If you remind me in the comment section of whatever video, I can see what if you just go, oh, I don't know what video to comment on, I'm just going to comment. So it'll show up in my feed or my notifications as a recent comment. I can still see it. Napadex. Yeah, that's my Napadex. I need to write that down because you guys are too clever. I'll forget these things. Hold on a second. Yes, I like it. I'm gonna write that down. I'm a cheat. I'm gonna steal the idea. All right, so it's called a Napadex. How did you spell it? There it is. Yeah, instead of a Rolodex, I got a Napadex. Yeah, awesome. So now I don't have to keep saying it's my nap-in list in an index card holder box. I can just say it's my Napadex. Yeah. All right, let's see. Anybody use TV glass lately? I found a niche with that stuff. I found my niche with that stuff. Yeah, we got to watch out for the chemicals on the glass. I think the older ones you got to kind of stay away from. So you can start breathing some of that coating on the inside of the TV glass. The older ones are the ones that have the nasty chemicals. I don't know about the newer ones. I mean, relatively new. They don't make them anymore like that, but the tubes, the more recent, the better. It's really good stuff, but unless you can remove the lining. It's a chemical that they put on the inside of the TV tubes. Anyway. The TV glass is good, yeah, because it's very flexible. It's like a bottle bottom, except huge. It's got that flexibility to it that's like high-grade obsidian. Keith says, sorry, I'm not used to chatting, but Dean used to make a bamboo-backed Osage bow and made some beautiful bows. He has passed, but I have a signed book of his. I see. Laminated bows are something I never got into. Like bamboo backed, you can bamboo back all kinds of stuff. The two popular ones are the hickory and ipe. Bamboo backed hickory and bamboo backed ipe. And what was this one here? Bamboo back Osage is another one, yeah. But you don't need to back the Osage, except if you're into production. If you're if you're trying to produce lots of bows, you can't always find perfect Osage, so you laminate it with bamboo, because bamboo is usually always perfect as the backing. Yeah, that's for production bows. I never made production bows. That bamboo backing. You can buy the components and laminate them yourself, and then tiller the bow after that. It's too easy peasy these days. I've used ipe wood, IPE, ipe. I say ipe. That's probably my number 5 favorite. I like it. I like ipe wood. So juniper, my favorite, and then Osage orange or bodark, and then elm, mulberry, ipe. That's what I like to work with. Right? And if I can get my hands on hickory, I'll try it. Yeah, but I've got to get a bunch of hickory staves, because usually one of them is all messed up, where I have trouble. I said I'm just gonna cook with this one, because this one will make better steaks and better hamburgers than a bow. Yeah, I love hickory smoked stuff. So if it acts up just a little bit, you're going in the smoker. So then all the staves go, oh, we better not act up. Let's see. Somebody likes zigzag ultra thin. What is that? Is zigzag a name of some sort of smoking product? Somebody tell me, I'm ignorant. All right, Mike Tuff says, question for you, Patrick. If the log that you are going to split has a slight bow, how would you split it? I always split those so that my bow has reflex. Right? Either V-flex or deflex. So if it's a bowed log, usually I take my bows from the inside curve. So they're slightly reflexed, right? But on sometimes, like on kids' bows, I use the other side as well for the kids' bows. So that's deflexed. You flip it over and there's a bow like this. I can use that side for kids' bows. Okay. But if I want it for my bow, it might be nice and snappy. I turn it over, and the concave part is where I get my bows. So I can usually get 2 bows from that particular log if it's wide enough. If it's not, then I just get 1 bow out of that curved part, so it's reflexed. Now, if it's really, really reflexed, sometimes there's an issue and it breaks. So I've had a case where it was super reflexed, and I heat bent it so it wouldn't be so reflexed. But you got to be careful when you do that. You usually don't want to heat bend the whole bow, but I did, and I used steam. Steam in the beginning, but let me see if I remember. I prefer to dry it out first, and then wait and then use dry heat. Usually when I make a bow, I don't do any steam bending on it. I've found that steam bending bows, unless they're very green, will cause cracking after the water dries out of the steam bent bow. You'll see cracks. But in my case, especially with juniper, so I don't use steam bending very much on bows. I use dry heat. And Osage and mulberry seem to work really well with dry heat. And same with hickory, right? Hickory works pretty good with dry heat, I think. Yeah. Hope that answers that question. Posh Caveman says, TB glass is easy to find in the trash and typically pretty thick and flat. Help me practice thinning. Yes. Ronald says, do you find glass napping not really authentic or less interesting? I was just wondering, you being a very advanced napper. Me, I find glass napping completely natural and useful. And so did the Native Americans. Whenever they found glass, they'd use it for arrowheads if they were still using uh, napped arrowheads. They would immediately use the glass if they found it, or if they traded for it somehow. You know, they'd trade for bottles of liquor and then they would nap the bottles or bottles of whatever, right? Um, as an example. What else? You know, of course, the glass insulator stories, but the insulators are very difficult to nap. I'll show you one of these days when I get around to napping my insulators, the glass insulators, that they're quite difficult to get a long point out of those. So that type of glass napping is overly hyped. Very few arrowheads were made from glass insulators here in the U.S. Maybe in Australia they were common, but here in the U.S., just little ones. Um, Now, Ishii made one at the museum that was fairly long. Okay, that takes some skill to figure out how to conserve that material and nap around all those um, undulations. Let's see what else. I'm trying to think. There's artifacts, especially on the West Coast and Ishii as well. Uh, Arrowheads made from glass, various types of glass. They weren't that picky. I mean, they weren't picky at all about what types of glasses that they were using. Michael says, I buried my grandmother with a 4-inch corner notch from old floor model TV. Oh, dang. 4-inch corner notch. That's a cool gift. Let's see. Patrick says, it's time to go bust a TV. LOL. I bet you that would break your heart, huh? Let's see. What else did I miss here? Let's see. Oh, I did miss some stuff. If you have questions, please ask them before I start napping. I see there's questions coming in, but in case you are not clear on it, it's easiest for me to answer the questions in the first hour. Yeah. And I would like to get at least one super chat before I start napping. Yeah. If I don't get any super chats, I'm going to feel like I'm doing the napping for free. Like, should I be doing it for free? I don't know. I mean, I've done it before, but I'd like to get at least one super chat before I start napping. Okay. Roy says zigzag papers for. Oh, I see. Rolling papers are called zigzag. Okay, I get you. I know that. I did know that. Yeah. I know people who use rolling papers. So yeah, I forgot all about that. Okay. Peter Cohn is here. What trouble are we getting into now? They're asking me about bows. Yeah, that's asking for trouble. Because most of my experience has been with flintnapping. The irony is, I'd rather explain things about bows than explain things about rocks because I'm pretty burnt out on explaining rocks. Yeah. Rocks are different. Your rocks are different from my rocks, and their rocks are different from my rocks. Everyone's rocks are different from each other. They got some similarities, but I bet you that there's uh, also similarities between different rock types, like hornstone and amoeba chert. They've got a lot of similarities. So, hey, there is one super chat. So I'm not going to be napping for free. Who gave it to me? Justin, thank you. We're here for you, Patrick. Ask, and you shall get what you don't deserve. Yeah. Hey, who else? Ed Gould, Food for the Wild. Yeah, good. It's getting expensive, especially if I buy the fancy granola bars, because the squirrels are. They're addicted now to the granola bars. It's like crack for them. They'll come right up to my porch while I'm sitting there, and they just stand there like this and wait for the granola. I toss out a piece, they grab it, they stick it in their mouth and run up the tree, and the next one's there, hey, what about me? Because there's 3 of them. So I toss them out. Yeah, perfect, because they're like $5 a box. E-money comes to the rescue. All right. Hey, who else? Patrick Truesdale, $10. Thank you. What app are you using during the auctions or platform? During the auctions, I just use YouTube. Yeah, they're on this channel. I just post a auction video, and in the comments section is where everybody bids. Yeah, it's supposed to be easy peasy, although there's some difficulties because YouTube is all quirky. Well, it's getting better, but sometimes people can't see other people's comments. That's the biggest problem. And then once in a while, we get a Fruit Loop or a weirdo in the comments section, which is not difficult to deal with because it's just delete. But yeah, there's a bunch of guys that are regulars, and lately I haven't been posting very many pieces because I'm trying to do the side projects. It's conflicting, so the auctions in my videos conflict with my side projects. But once I get the side projects done and don't accept any more and say no, I'm not going to do no more side projects, then it's easier for me to do the YouTube stuff. Much easier. Hey, Ronald says, I do have a question about arrows, wood types. How about cedar? Well, the old tried and true is the Port Orford cedar. And you can buy shafts. They're reasonably priced. Port Orford. I used to think it was Oxford, but no, it's Orford cedar, right? I personally don't use them because they dent and they split easily. You know, you're out in the field, especially stump shooting, and they hit anything on the way to the target, and they get a little dent or a little splinter taken out, and they get damaged really easy. So I prefer to use birch dowels if I can't get anything else, or poplar dowels, or oak dowels. I've used all those 3: birch, poplar, and oak dowels for arrows. You can buy them at the hardware store. Of course, you got to sort through, and people look at you weird, like, what's he doing? Is there something special in there? Yeah, I'm looking for straight grain. I did talk to a couple of people about that. And because I guess they were waiting for me. I'm taking up all that time and I'm looking through. I go through the 3/8 and what other size do I use? 5/16? I don't know. Anyway, I'm in there. I'm looking at all the shafts, and I'm trying to decide. I'm sitting there going, okay, these are good. I only got like 3 of those, but there's like 6 of them that are so. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to take, and they're probably wondering when I'm going to leave so they can get whatever they need. Anyways, if I don't have anything else, if I go to the hardware store, I buy dowels. Now, if I can access wood from nature, there's a lot. And in Texas, my favorite was Yaupon holly and Chinese privet. Right? Yes, Yaupon holly and Chinese privet arrows in Texas, because I can go out and get those in the woods. Here in Vermont, I use silky dogwood, alder buckthorn, and viburnum. The viburnum is excellent. I mean, if you want to know what the most perfect most perfect arrow would be, other than river cane, is viburnum. Yeah, and not all river cane is created equal. You've got to get the kind that doesn't have really, really nasty nodes, because I've seen river cane that's really straight and I've seen river cane that's like zigzag. Okay, don't get the zigzag stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, we were talking about zigzag earlier. Don't misinterpret what I said. But yeah, dogwood is it can be used because I use silky dogwood, right? But you can use red osier dogwood. You can use what is the other one? There's another one common around here. I'm trying to think. Is it silverleaf dogwood? They say it's common. You can also use stuff like hazel and uh, sometimes even willow. Just off the top of my head, but it's best to use the ones that I mentioned already: the viburnum and the silky dogwood, or some other dogwood varieties. And buckthorn, alder buckthorn is an invasive species, so they don't care if you cut that stuff down. Usually, you find them in ditches and stuff. It grows fast, so it's a little bit weak, but it's comparable to hazel. They're about the same as far as properties. Both of them break pretty easy. Hazel breaks pretty easy. Alder buckthorn breaks pretty easy. If you want a durable arrow, you have to go with either river cane or viburnum. I'm trying to think of something else. You can make arrows out of hickory too. I've made arrows out of hickory if you want something durable. How do you break a large slab in half? Well, it depends. Just give it to a new napper, and they'll snap it in half for you, and you go, "Oh, thanks." Is that what you mean? Or no, you want to crack it lengthwise in half, or you want to take spalls off? What do you mean by break up a large slab in half? Yeah, if you want to break a large slab in half, you just hand it to a napper. Is that a joke? Maybe I spoiled the joke. Let's see. AFC is here? Where? I don't see AFC. As for Corn is here. Yeah. Okay. Jesse says, Pat, Sev's getting funnier. I want to hear Sev do the allergic hobbit voice. I wish. Yeah, the AI subscription I have is okay. I've looked at the advanced option and then the regular options as far as video generation. I like the less advanced, even though you can tell there's some quirkiness with the images because there's better facial expression. And I have to go through a couple iterations usually to get, I'll type it in and I'll generate 2 or 3 videos of the same thing. And then one of the videos matches good to the dialogue. Sometimes, like I was having trouble today, Seb kept repeating the last word over again. And I had to cut the ending of the video off finally because I couldn't get it to stop repeating the last word. It was just a glitch in the program. So I had to cut it. Luckily, it didn't interfere with the expressions and stuff at the end with her expression. Anyway, I'm trying to get better at doing the funny stuff with her character. Yeah. It's not that hard. It's actually working pretty well. If it was really difficult to do, I wouldn't do it. It's not that hard. So I appreciate you saying that because I am trying to pay attention to that. Suet cakes for birds, squirrels love them. Oh yeah, we got a bunch of those here. I can make my own suet cakes. They sell the suet at the supermarket right in town. For some reason, suet is a big thing here. When I was in Texas, you couldn't get suet. What is that? Never mind. Wait, but what is it? I don't want to get into the conversation, because you'll think I'm weird. And if I want the fat that's near the kidneys of the animal, why would you want that? See, I don't want to get into that conversation. Here they sell it for birds. They sell it for soap making. They sell it for candle making. I mean, they know what to use it for here. Yeah. Let's see. Peter says, "Hey, don't go lumping us weirdos in with the folks you delete." Oh, dang. Have I lumped you in? Sorry about that. Let's see. Mike Tuff says, "I'm having fun splitting logs, Mike. You should be here." Mike Mason is here. Man, I'm missing all the fun. What are you all up to? You're missing it. You've got to be here the whole time. What about wild rose canes? And you can straighten them into shafts. Yeah, people always ask me that. Yeah, but wild rose is good. Or, rose. Okay, let me reiterate one more time. This is number 576 time I've said this. Rose for me has always been very weak. For some reason, if you get me to go with you to look for rose shoots, they're going to be weak. But if you go without me, you'll find them really strong. And someone will send the rose shafts to me and they'll be strong. But if I'm involved in finding them, we will all have weak rose shafts. Yeah, that's been my experience. So I never use it because it's so weak. But other people say, wait a minute, I've got an 80-pound rose shaft right here. Look. And they've shown it to me. The arrows made it. And I say, dang, I don't know. Maybe they get weak when I'm around or something, or they start dying and withering. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I never use them because they're too weak. Let's see. I am kidding, yes, but I've never been able to use more than one or two rose shafts where I can use 20 or more silky dogwood shafts or viburnum shafts. In comparison to how long it takes me to find these rose shafts, I can find 20, 30, 40 of the other types of wood. Yeah, at least. Okay, what's going on here? All right, what's a doming kit? Oh, I see, for the boppers. Okay. You can dome the copper caps for the boppers, the copper boppers. Okay, we're talking about boppers in here. I was trying to make a composite bow. Okay, Peter says, I was trying to make a composite bow, wood and reed, but then realized the dowel I was using weighed less than the bamboo. Composite arrow, wood and reed, but then I realized the dowel was weighed less than the bamboo. Yeah, that can be an issue unless you have a heavy arrowhead, but yeah, I get it. The foreshaft should be heavier or more dense than the rest of the arrow. It should be. It doesn't have to be, but it should be. How do you get around it? You just use a heavier arrowhead or a longer foreshaft, or both. Lengthen the foreshaft and use a bigger arrowhead. And usually when I mean bigger arrowhead, I mean longer. It'd be skinny and long. That's the way they used to do it anyway. When the archers were making heavier arrowheads, they made them longer, not wider. Today, these days, knappers say, oh, I'm just going to make them wider if I want a heavier. Yeah, instead of an inch, I'll make it an inch and a half. No. Wide. No. You don't widen it to make it heavier. Unless you want to stay being modern. Us modern dumbheads. Let's see. Somebody says, not as good as Patrick's, but I made a Schulian hand axe. I was happy. I was a happy guy holding it, imagining using it as a kind of awkward, strange. The ancients used that form such an insanely long time. Okay, yeah, the hand axe was used for a very long time, yeah. I think hundreds of thousands of years, the hand axe. Yeah. during the Mesolithic, right? And even before that, Paleolithic. We have red osier dogwood here in Michigan that works real good for arrow shafts. Yes, yes. Mike says, between Pat, Jesse, and Harley, it's like there's a basalt fever going around. Maybe so. It's a coincidence. It's not contagious. It's coincidental. Yeah. Is it buckthorn or buckhorn? We have buckhorn. No, it's buckthorn. Yeah, alder buckthorn. You know, like, ouch. But it doesn't have thorns, which is weird. Buckhorn, I don't even know what that is. As for corn says, I think it's called Carolina buckhorn. Yeah, I don't know what that is. And if someone asks me, can you make arrows out of blah, blah, blah wood? I always say, yeah, because it's like bows. Depends on the dimensions. Okay? Or the dimensions can make it work. Yeah. If you have a weak wood, you just make them thicker or larger diameter shafts. And weak usually means light also. So even if it's a large diameter arrow shaft, it's still going to be light by comparison. And you're not going to go over your weight requirements on the arrow shafts as far as physical weight. Now, spine weight, it does mess with it. The larger the diameters, they get stiff just because of large diameter. So you'll have to figure out if that particular wood is good for your type of bow. Remember, always try to shoot your arrows out of the bow as your final test before you put fletching. Okay, because that gives you a better idea if it's actually compatible with your bow. Fletching corrects too many errors, so you can't really tell if you're getting the most efficiency out of your arrows. I mean, if you're persnickety about that. If you're not persnickety, then don't worry about it. Mike says it's a coincidental basalt. Here I thought there was some kind of secret challenge club. Nope, not that I know of. Jeremy's here. Hey, nappers. Scott is leaving. I got to go. Okay, Scott Lauer says he's got to go. Good night, everybody. Yeah, it's really late over there in the UK. All right, so I got 15 more minutes before I start napping. Roy says, Patrick, it's better when harvested nice and straight, but they're usually in the middle of a bunch of canes. Okay, as far as the rose stuff goes. Yeah, but no, if I'm doing it, I'm going to get weak shafts no matter where I harvest it, from the middle, the side, from huge, gigantic collections of rose shafts, or just one or two here and there. It doesn't matter. Even the thick ones. I've got a couple that were in the back on a hill. I had a ton of wild rose on one side. I took it all out, and I found two nice, thick, straight stems that I thought would be good. No way. And the pith gets really big too toward the top. I mean, it doesn't stay solid all the way through. Not the ones we got. Let's see here. Where am I? Case knives. Talking about knives. Talking about lead-filled boppers. Let's see here. Talking about basalt. Buckhorn is those bone-looking things on top of Male deer. No, that's funny. Keith, you're funny. Ask for Corn says, it's what my indirect mallet is made out of. I kicked the hell out of the Delran under my knee flaker with it. Or I nicked. I don't know what that means. Jesse says, I finally went to a nap-in and we got lots of basalt. I picked up lots of waste flakes no one wanted, just like Pat said it would be. Yeah, see? It's like I've been to nap-ins before. It's funny how that works. How does a vegetable defend itself? Asks Mike. Okay, let me see if I can read this right. It uses carroty. I don't know what that means. Patrick says, I tried the inners of paracord, but not so good. I don't understand that either. New Day is here. I haven't seen you before. Arrow shaft straightener is a real prehistoric tool. Are you asking or telling? A lot of the things that they classify as arrow shaft straighteners are not arrow shaft straighteners because you can't straighten arrows with them. That's how I know. How do I know that you can straighten arrows with rocks that are shaped in certain ways? Because I've done it. Yeah. I've tried different shapes of what they call arrow straighteners in the archaeological record. And I would say 20% of what they say are arrow straighteners can actually be used to straighten arrows. Yeah. And somebody say, well, no, it's for polishing. You just run the shaft through the groove and it polishes and smooths. Yeah. You've got a polished and smooth brain. That's what you got. Okay. Because if it's a polisher and smoother, then why do they call it a straightener? For one thing. For two, go ahead and try it and see how polished and straight or polished and smooth you get that shaft from the groove in a stone. Just do it. Try it. I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen because I want you to find out yourself. Patrick says homemade bowstring. Patrick, yeah, I've made lots of homemade bowstrings. What did I miss? And I've had wise guys say, okay, well, the arrow straighteners that you say are not arrow straighteners, what were they used for then? Well, I'd be even stupider if I came up with something that said they were definitely used as this or that. We don't know what they're used for in many cases. We have no idea. It's just a stone with a groove in it. We don't know what they're used it for. If you ask me, what is it used for? You're asking the wrong question. And you're asking the wrong person. Yeah. The question is, okay, how can we set up an experiment to make something with this that actually makes sense? What can we make with this that makes sense? Or is it missing the top half? Maybe it's supposed to be hollow, a hollow tube for some reason, and it's missing the other top. And sometimes you can find the two pieces, one that goes on top of the other. So what is it used for? There's some photographs in the past that were staged where someone's using one of those so-called arrow straighteners with two halves, two stones with grooves, and the Indians just sitting there like that. Now, staged. Does that mean that's correct? No. When it's staged, it's highly suspect. You don't know if it's correct. It has to be candid camera, like I caught you without you looking. That's how we know it's actually used for this, not a staged photograph. Jesse says, Patrick, question, if I leave my boppers with flat caps, they will get domed on their own, right? Simply by use? Yes. Yep, they'll get domed, but it won't be a nice dome. But yeah. New Day says, I am telling, pumice rocks grooved by the pumice. Just what I think. All right, pumice rocks grooved by the pumice. So you're telling me that the arrow straighteners work or whatever. Yeah. That's fine. If you just want to tell me what they're used for, I'd rather see a picture though. Patrick Truesdale says, "Yeah, you missed it. It's okay. I was asking what I could make homemade bowstrings." Oh, okay. I missed the question. Let me go back. What else did I miss? Okay, now I found it. What is a good material to make bowstrings? Anyone? Homemade bowstrings. Are you talking about natural materials? Because backstrap sinew is the best natural material. Modern materials, if you want the strongest, cheapest bowstring, use the fishing line, the braided kind, I suppose. The high strength fishing line, but not monofilament line. The other type of fishing line. Okay? And it's multi-strand, a multi-strand bowstring. You just go to the hardware store or some sporting goods section of somewhere store and you buy fishing line and you make a multi-strand bowstring out of the fishing line. Something non-flexible. Okay, there's very strong fishing line that's not flexible. That's the tough stuff you use. That's the cheapest option. Now, if you want to go traditional, you use what they call B50 or something similar. It's like a waxed polyester or some kind of waxed modern material. It's kind of expensive. Now, you can get polyester cords and strings and threads. That stuff is used for sewing together tents and canvas covers for boats and stuff. Polyester threads, you can do a multi-strand polyester thread bowstring. That doesn't stretch very much. I think it does stretch, but not very much. Don't get nylon. Yeah, don't use nylon for bowstrings. You can use paracord, but that's in an emergency. Use polyester string because it stretches somewhat, but then it starts to stack. It doesn't stretch past a certain point. So once you make a bowstring out of it and shoot it a few times and readjust it, it won't keep stretching. Spider wire. Yeah, spider wire. Now, yeah, you got to be kind of specific if you want me to recommend the material for bowstrings. The natural materials, you can use linen fibers, dog bane. You can use all kinds of stuff. You can use sisal. Sisal twine can be made into bows, strings. Sisal is, you can buy a big old roll of sisal twine at the hardware store, but you got to separate those fibers out and twist them separately. Okay, and be a little more neat about it because the sisal twine is very cheaply made and the strands are going everywhere. And you got to make sure that stuff doesn't dry out too much because the drier the sisal is, the weaker it is. You can use polycotton thread, multi-stranded polycotton thread, but it has to be polyester cotton combination, not cotton by itself. Although if you can find polyester by itself, that'd be good, but it's highly expensive. Yeah, don't use nylon. What I like to use is 1/8 inch diameter polyester cord, and you can buy it online. I rarely see it at hardware stores, but sometimes you can find it. But I had to buy that online. It's 1/8 inch polyester cord, 1/8 inch diameter. I use that for all my tillering until I can, not until, before I use the actual real bowstring. I use a cheap polyester bowstring. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's see. Talking about straightening arrows. Frodo Joe or Bushy says, I have some very old cobbler's line. You cannot break one strand at all. Would that work for a bowstring, or should you use multiple strings and tie them together? It depends on the diameter. You got to build up the diameter of the string to fit your arrow nock. Okay? So it's usually almost 1/8 of an inch in diameter in order to fit into your arrow nock. Whatever amount of strands that you can put together to equal the diameter for your arrow nock. Now, if you have modern nocks. Now, if you are making the nocks yourself, what I like to do is do what everybody else does, is buy that round tile cutting. It's a tile cutting saw, but it's just a blade. The tile cutting blade is round and it's got like diamond encrust. It's like a diamond file encrusted with these little things, and you put it onto a hacksaw frame, and you can, the diameter of that tile cutting saw is the same as a bowstring. So you can cut nocks in wood with that tile cutting saw that match bowstring, the standard bowstring diameter, if you buy a bowstring off the shelf. So a lot of guys use that, and I've done that before too. But for reproductions, you use a V nock on your arrows, so that it doesn't matter what diameter the string is. Okay? All right. How do you hold the arrow then? It doesn't click in. The Native Americans didn't click it in? No, they didn't click it in. They pinch gripped. I don't want to get into it. But I want to know, what are you talking about? Yeah, I'm not going to get into pinch grips because it will take an hour just for people to go, wait a second. It's not sinking in. What was that again? Pinch. Pinch. Pinch? Yeah, pinch grip. But wait, isn't it like 3 fingers? No, it's a pinch. But I don't get it. What? And then I show them how to do a pinch grip, and they go, you mean like this with 3 fingers? No, I just showed you how to do it. No, it's not like that. I exaggerate, yes, because I think it's funny, because it does take time for people to, wait a second. It's not the 3-finger grip? No. Not with the V nocks. Not without the clicking it in, you know? Yeah, 1/8 inches of spider wire would be like a 500-pound test. Well, then you're safe. Yeah. See, the formula is, it's like the weight of your bow poundage. Let's say it's 50-pound bow. You multiply that by 5, and you get 250 pounds. Your bowstring needs to withstand at least 250 pounds of weight. So 500 is perfect. It can be way over if you want. It just can't be under. You take your bow poundage weight, 60 pounds multiplied by 5, that's 300 pounds. Your bowstring needs to hold 300 pounds. And not just pull and barely survive. No, I mean 300 pounds and then go up, just yank it. Make sure you've got somehow to measure 300 pounds. And don't just barely lift it. Kind of abuse it a little bit. If it survives, then it's good. It's a 60-pound bow. Okay? But if it's 500 pounds, you got nothing to worry about. The only time you worry is if it's lower than 5 times your bow weight. I've heard deer sinew is good material. Yes or no? Yes. Roy asks, deer sinew is good for bow string material under 2 conditions. That each strand is more than 5 inches, 5 inches or more. Each strand, don't use little bitty strands. 5 inches or long strands, and don't get your bowstring wet at all, which means don't get any water on it whatsoever. But some people say, yeah, but I use like tallow and I use like wax, and I use like oils, and I use, yeah, you don't use any of those on a sinew bowstring. Don't do it. First of all, oil will weaken it. It won't make it waterproof. Wax makes it really heavy and it's still not waterproof. Other natural oils and stuff, they don't make it waterproof. How do you shoot in the rain? Some people say, well, how do you shoot in bad weather then? Guess what? You don't. You don't shoot in bad weather. There's a point. You put your bowstrings away when it's damp and rainy. You don't go shooting. I mean, just ask Ishi the Indian. Did he go hunting in rain? No. Crazy? Crazy. You guys are crazy. It ruins your bow too. I don't know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking too modern material. Modern material mindset, modern material mindset, it just messes everything up if you're planning on doing something with natural materials. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Patrick says, I got some 80-pound battle braid. Should work. Yeah. As long as it's, if it's let's say a 20-pound test fishing line that doesn't stretch, and you've got a 50-pound bow. Okay. How many strands do I need for the bowstring? Well, at a minimum, let's see, 20 pounds and 5 times 5, 250 pounds. So 250 pounds divided by 20 pounds is like, what, 13 strands? Put 13 strands together and you measure it. Wait, that's not an eighth of an inch. That's less than an eighth of an inch. Well, then add more strands. Yeah. As long as you're not under what you need, you're fine. You can add a bunch of strands, and if you say to me, yeah, well, that's going to hold 700 pounds. What are you talking about? If it's more than what you need, you're good. The only problem is if it's less. That's when you're running into problems. So if it's an eighth of an inch thick and it's still not going to hold 250 pounds, you got problems. And a lot of these problems happen with like hemp string. Like if you buy hemp cordage and you test how the breakage, let's say it's 15 pounds per strand. If you put together 8 strands of hemp cordage, 8 times 15, I don't know what that is, 120 pounds or something like that. You're going to have an eighth of an inch thick bowstring, eighth of an inch thick bowstring, but it's only going to hold 150 pounds. You're in trouble. So you don't use hemp cordage. Use something really, really strong if you want to be safe. I mean, you can use it if you're in a survival situation, or I don't know, let's say you're going to make a bow in 5 minutes because you can see bandits coming down the street and you got 5 minutes to defend yourself because you forgot your pistol or whatever. So you make a bow and, before the bandits come down the street and shoot them. Yeah, you can use your hemp. Okay, but you're not going to get a very many shots off. Yeah, before that bowstring breaks and that limb slaps you in the forehead. I laugh because of these survival situation videos. A lot of them I laugh, and I had this. Okay, next. They're not talking about bandits in these videos, but I think you get the drift. It's just impossible situations or far-fetched situations. Yeah. Roy says it's twisted with a 1/4 inch, then coated with beeswax and mink oil lightly. Twisted with 1/4 inch. Oh, New Day says deer come out in the rain. Yeah, you know why? Because smart hunters don't hunt in the rain. Yeah. Not if you got primitive equipment. How do I know that natural bowstrings don't do well in the rain? I don't know. I was a nutcase like you guys too. Let's see. The jute twine string is on my 45-pound recurve. 0 issues. Jute twine string. Yeah, you're asking for trouble. No issues. How many times have you shot it? I've been shooting for 20 years on the same 45 pound ball with jute bowstring. It's not jute in that case. Let's see. Should a guy use salt on a whitetail backstrap sinew, or would it make it weak? You can use salt on backstrap. Salt doesn't do anything, as far as I know. Yeah, Jesse says, Pat, the natives didn't click it in. Yeah. You can tell everyone that I said that. Yeah. Jack Crafty says the natives didn't click it in. Look how Ishii held his bowstring. Yeah, fascinating. It is. It's very weird too. New Day says, Cenotes, arrowwood, wild shrub blooms this time of year. Very beautiful. Interesting. Yeah, deer come out in the rain. But see, I've watched deer also. Where my sister lives, deer are in the backyard, basically. There's a green belt, what they call a green belt in Texas, which means you can't develop in that area, and there's usually a river or stream. Green belt, the deer go, constantly through the green belt, and she's right on the green belt. Her backyard it abuts to the green belt, and whenever I go visit, we watch deer, and deer come out at sunset when it's not raining, mostly. Okay, I don't see very many deer when it's raining, and I have seen deer out in the middle of the day when the sun is shining brightly, but most of the deer come out at sunset, as far as I can tell, and they and sometimes around sunrise, especially if there's competition for food. They'll come out at around sunrise, and then they'll hide as soon as the weather starts getting warmer, or it changes. The weather starts changing, they'll go hide. As far as warming up, you don't really see them in the bright of the middle of the day too much. So this thing about deer come out in the rain, I don't know. I mean, I haven't noticed that there's more deer during rain than not. In fact, I see less deer when it's raining. But if in your area, if they come out when it's raining, that means they're under pressure, which means that they get shot if they come out during the sunlight. Patrick says, improvised bug out or something to make while camping and fishing. Yeah. Pinch grip, great. I've heard of jute. Yeah, jute twine. If you want to make a strong bowstring, I don't recommend jute twine at all. It's one of the weakest fibers. Now, if you have something that's holed up for a long time made of jute twine, you've got a jute something or other combination, or it's not jute. What about catgut in place of sinew? Gut is weaker than sinew, but it can be used. You just get a thicker string. You can use gut, but it's weaker than sinew. How do I know? I don't know. Frodo Joe says, best hunting here last year in hours of daylight. Yes. All right. David Rushing, your turtleneck bow string will not let you down. It won't shrink or stretch. Makes a fine string. Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, it's already past 9. I need to start napping. Yeah, that's probably why the chat has not moved very much. They're waiting. Yeah, you guys are waiting for me to start napping. Dang it. I got carried away with the bowstring stuff. Yeah. Okay, let's get this show on the road. What do we got? We just got Georgetown. Let's see. Is this lighting okay? If the lighting's horrible for me, then it's good for you. Yeah. As long as I can't see anything, it's good for you guys. Yeah. I was going to nap some of this heat-treated coral, but it's white and you can't see anything, and it's frustrating. So I'm going to nap the Georgetown. Okay? And yeah, it's real Georgetown Flint. And no, it's not that good. Really? I thought Georgetown was like a gift from heaven, a gift from the gods. No. Yeah, sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's crappy. Yeah, like this piece right here. This is really cruddy. But, my specialty has been, hey, can you make some out of this? I can't do nothing with it. Yeah, okay. I'll try. I don't know if I can, but I'll try. So this is cruddy Georgetown because someone was napping it, either me or someone else, and they gave up on it because it was weird or something. It got very steppy. I'm not sure if I did this one. Anyway, we'll see. Would it be better if I heat treated it? Yeah, probably. But you never know. So I'm just gonna see what I can get from this. It's got cracks in it already. I took a bunch off of that side. I can see a crack already. So I'm going to be ignoring the chat for now. And I'll get back to the chat in about 40 minutes. 30 minutes. Okay? I'll see if I can get a little preform or something out of this Georgetown chunk. And what's the procedure? It's just opportunistic. There's no procedure other than don't break it. Yeah. It's easier said than done. It wants to be steppy. Yes, it does. Okay. Although it does hold together. These flakes, that one held together. It was pretty long. So that's snapping halfish. This might not be too bad. This might not be too bad. I just have to try to maximize it. I see some cracks, but I think they don't go very far. All right, so we'll see. I'm going to have to take some risks. I'm hitting the end because it's easier to thin that way, but it's risky. If it is snapping halfish in some areas, it could snap in half when I'm hitting the end. And some areas, what does that mean? It means that part of this could be not snapping halfish, and then this half, yes, snapping halfish. As it gets darker, it changes. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't know what I mean. With Georgetown, the coloration usually will indicate how it's going to nap. Usually, not always. The darker it is, it tends to be more finicky in one way or the other, either too hard or too soft. So I used to have Georgetown as one of my favorites as far as materials. And then after I had a nightmare one year, a nightmare of a time with Georgetown, a whole year of suffering with the stuff I thought was good, or they told me was good, and it wasn't. I'm thinking, is it me? It's got to be me because everyone's telling me it's good stuff, and I'm spending money on it, and it's expensive. Turns out, I don't know if it was my luck or what, but it was horrible. it wouldn't flake well. It was either too hard to flake or it flaked way too easy and snapped in half. There was no middle ground on that stuff. Anyways, I got a bad batch, I guess. So I'm just picking at it, trying to maximize it. It's not all that bad, actually, as long as it doesn't have a crack in it. I'm trying to get past the step fractures. It's just a matter of whittling it down. And, you know, I'll lose some length as I try to run flakes this way because it's much easier. If it's stepping on the edge, running the flakes from the end is easier because I can't run from the edge if it's all steppy and crunched. I got to run flakes from the ends, which makes it less long. It reduces length. Let's see. 3/8 inch. That's my usual copper rod, 3/8 inch diameter. 1 1/4 inch ultra high molecular weight plastic. I'm hitting the microphone, so hold on. I gotta back it away a little bit and change the positioning because I'm just barely hitting it, just barely, and that's enough to knock it out of whack, and then it doesn't sound right. Okay. So the indirect percussion is working well because I can get in between the crackly spots to at least remove some flakes to make it smoother. Okay, all right. Yes, you're seeing exactly what I'm doing. The angles are very visible. You can see how much energy I'm using on the mallet. Everything's good. You're going home tonight, or you're going to go to your shop or whatever, and now that you see the angles and the forces, everything's great. No. It'd be nice if that was it. If that's what happened every time, that'd be great. There are some crafts and skills that you just go, oh, that's how he does it. And you just go to the shop and start doing it. Not with Flintknapping. Nope. It may or may not work for you, what I'm doing. Yeah. And sometimes it's not your fault because the stone that you're working with is pretty nasty. Yeah. But you say to me, I got the same exact stuff that you do. Why is mine nasty? Because you don't have the same exact stuff that I do. That's why. It's very simple. As long as you're, reasonably well practiced. Now, if you're brand new, then yeah, probably you need more practice. But if you've been doing it a while and it's still not cooperating, it could be the stone and not you. And that's when they go, can you do something with it? Because I heard it could be the stone and not me, okay? It's not my fault. Here, can you try it? Yeah, I'll try it. And sure enough, I've had people hand me stuff that looks beautiful. And I try to nap it, and it's like, holy cow. Where did you get this? Oh, my cousin's got a farm, and we got like 80,000 tons of it. It looks really beautiful too. All of it's beautiful. And we try napping it, and it's crud. I mean, you can't run flakes. Yep. And I've napped stuff that I've sat there and I can't use copper on it because the copper doesn't seem to be imparting enough force to the edge. So I break out my steel. I still can't get enough force. I'm hitting it extremely hard. Okay, I need my steel pipe. So I'm hitting steel on steel and finally able to flake it. With a steel mallet and a steel rod, I can finally start flaking the stone. That's how bad some of that stuff is. And it looks pretty good. Like, for instance, like I think Dover, someone gave me some Dover chert one time. Looked beautiful. I think this is from Tennessee. And he says, "Yeah, we got a bunch of this stuff." Whoever he knew, I don't know if it was his cousin or whatever. So we got a ton of stuff. I'm sitting there trying to nap it, and I'm going, "Holy cow!" I mean, it looks just like the stuff that this guy's using that he's making beautiful points out of. It looks the same, but you cannot nap this. And I think it was Dover chert. It comes in different grades. And I'm not sure if you can heat treat that stuff or not. But just to give you some reference and something to go by, just as an example, it could be the stone. Okay, so I broke the tip off it, and I'm not sure if that was me or an existing crack. So we lost some length. Yep. And I'm trying to think here. I think it was already cracked. Yeah. Because that fracture is very strange. It's not smooth like it would normally be. See that? That fracture plane should be smooth or rippled, but it's not. It's all crunchy. So I'm thinking that's an existing crack. Okay? Or it's a stress, some kind of internal stresses of the stone weakened it right there. All right, so I think we're going to end up with a biface, but it's not going to be very long. Yeah. So I just whittle it down little by little. You can see this process better on my other videos. But some people get a lot of benefit from seeing it from this view, which is fine. It's fine, yeah. That's why I'm doing it. And thank you for the super chats. Yeah. I need food. I need the food for wildlife, yeah. I need the wildlife support fund. We got skunks, possums, gray fox. What else? Oh, and a groundhog. Except I don't feed the groundhog. Except I tried some turnips. I bought a turnip the other day. I don't know why I do these things. To see if anything would eat it. Because the turnip was on sale. The turnips were like the cheapest, like 39 cents a pound or something, because I guess they were on the shelf for a long time. Something ridiculously cheap. So I bought one. And I threw it out in the back. Nothing ate it. No one likes turnips. Not even the groundhog, I don't think. Anyways. What else do we have back there? We used to have rats, but they all disappeared. We used to have one chipmunk like 3 years ago when I first started visiting my dad. But he's gone. That one's gone too. I think the foxes are doing a good job of controlling the rats and the chipmunks. They're eating them all. Or we got birds of prey that are getting pretty good at it. Although I don't see very many this year. I have not seen the eagle this year. I've seen a hawk. couldn't tell what kind. I think it was a Cooper's hawk or something. I don't know. So I know we got a hawk in the area. And sometimes all the birds disappear. Where's all the birds? And I have a feeling that the hawk is flying around somewhere, scaring all the birds. Yeah. So am I gonna? So it's starting to take shape. Okay, I think I've done the hardest part. I just took off a big flake off the top here. So it got rid of a big lump, basically. So now the first stage is over. First stage is relatively easy. It's not easy emotionally because I snapped the tip off, which is a bummer. And I lost, some off of both ends. And I still have a turtleback of sorts. So it's not emotionally easy, but it's physically less challenging than this next stage. Okay. And I say that some people don't have a problem with it, but I say that just to prepare the new guys to get more serious as it gets thinner and it gets smaller. You have to use the mass of the workpiece against itself, which means you need to keep the same amount of force or actually increase in the amount of force you're using to remove these flakes, which is counterintuitive, and you're not going to want to do it. So you have to be very, very careful about making sure the flake path is convex and there's no steps in the way, and you've got a nice strong edge. And make sure there's no wonkiness. How do you make sure? You just take little flakes to try to get it smooth. Don't be too crazy on taking big flakes. Smooth out the surface with small flakes, and then once you see an opportunity for a big flake, then you take it if it's smooth enough. If it's still not smooth enough, then don't take the big flake. Just keep doing the little ones. You're going to end up with an almond, but that's better than breaking it in half. Breaking it in half is not how you do these things. Believe it or not. Almonds are more useful than two halves. Yeah, believe it or not. An almond is more useful than two halves. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to be useful. I want it to look good. I know. That's what modern nappers are saying, because we don't need to use these things. So our goal is to make it look good. Yeah, I know. But you need to first learn how to be successful, at least a little bit, and little almonds are fine. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Just make thinner and thinner almonds as you go along. It might take you 3 years to make a thin almond, but you'll get there. And just don't use really cruddy material. Yeah, to start with. You can save all your cruddy material and put it aside for later when you're more experienced. Yeah. Some guys say, no, I'm going to use all my crud for the beginning because I'm a cruddy napper. I use cruddy stone. It matches. No, it doesn't match. It's the opposite. Good stone is for new people. Bad stone is for the advanced nappers. It's the total opposite. Okay? Some people are going to get mad when I say that. But if you haven't noticed, it doesn't bug me to get people mad. Yeah, I noticed because your channel's taking a whole different direction. It's all weirded out, dude. Okay, fine. I've done that before when I did the indirect percussion thing and that first person view on the napping. People are going, what? Yeah. So don't worry. Don't worry about me. Yeah. If the channel's taking a weird direction and people are leaving left and right and people are complaining and stuff, does it affect me? Well, I make like $3 per video. Is it would it affect you if you made $3 per video? No. It's not making me a whole ton of money, for one. Number two, that's not why I'm doing it. I like answering questions because that's exciting for me to look for the answers. And if I find the correct answer that actually works or actually is something I can use, it's antidepressing. Yeah. It's my antidepressant to figure out the truth or to figure out what works. That's why I like doing it. And I like seeing people's happy faces when they go, so that's it. I can do it. It did it. I can do it. See, I can do it because I can show you how I did it. Yeah. Yeah, people's happy faces. That's cool. That's cool, dude. You went from almonds to potato chips in no time. Yeah, I've seen people go from almonds and turtlebacks to potato chips in no time. It's awesome. And they get all happy. Yeah. Okay, there's a little bit of a twist in it. I don't know. And there's some curvature. It's not all that great, but I'm getting ready to knock off some big old flakes. I'm trying to get it nice and even and smoother, but you know, what I want and what it's actually doing, two different things, because it's very wonky. I had to leave in some of the wonkiness from the original attempt to work it. Now I've got to try to figure out, okay, where do I take off material? I can't see it that well. For one. For two, if I hit it too hard, it's going to snap it. So I got to make sure the ends are thin, which is, yeah, they're kind of thin, before I go for that big old turtleback. Because it's a snap in half-ish type of situation. No matter what kind of stone I have, it is a snap in half situation. I have to hit that really, really hard. Yeah. Anyways, here we go. It didn't even do much. That wasn't too bad. Well, let's see. I don't like hitting the base. Not at this stage. Because I got to hit it like I want to break it. Yeah. It's still got some thick areas on there that require a lot of force to thin down. The larger the flake, the more force you need. The thicker the flake, also in some cases. Not all cases, but in a lot of cases, the thicker the flake, the more force you need. That's in most cases, yeah. It's hard to say for sure. Sometimes I can take off a thick flake without much force. Hey, not supposed to go that far. These flakes are bouncing. I'm using a combination of zigzag and thinning on this one side because of cortex. Yeah, some of these zigzags I'm able to shoot inward instead of just zigzagging it downward. I can shoot inward. But it's all opportunistic. Sometimes I can't do that. Conditions just have to be correct. Ooh, I was lucky I did not overshoot that. That was, what's it doing right there? Okay. That's a dark Georgetown. See, it's all it gets kind of crunchy in that dark area. See that right there? Because I'm used to this other side, which is lighter. It naps differently than this side. See, these two sides nap totally differently. You can tell by the colors too. Now, sometimes psychologically you say to yourself, oh, this side's going to be cruddy because it's dark. Well, you can actually mess yourself up if you have that impression to start with. It might not be that different. Chances are it is different, but if you exaggerate it in your brain, then it does mess you up. How do I know? I don't know. Okay. All righty. So this is what I got so far. I'm going to stop here in about 10 minutes, but I think I can get a good little biface and a preform for something. The Georgetown shows up pretty good as far as the flake scars in the video. Yes. So I don't have to break out my flashlight. All right, second stage is done. Now I'm going to go to a smaller diameter. This is a 5/16 inch diameter rod, and I haven't straightened it. Yeah, it's got a slight bend in it. These slight bends do make a difference, especially when you're thinning, the final thinning stage. They make a slight difference and mess you up, but it's not that bad. The more curved it is, the more it messes you up. If you're not used to it already being curved. Now, if you're used to it being curved, then your brain adjusts. You know, because you're used to it. The human brain understands repetition and remembering in what they call muscle memory. Yeah. So with the muscle memory, it's mainly subconscious. It'll adjust to your tools. So some guys tell me, I've been using the wood mallet for years and I never mess it up. I never mess up with it. Yeah. Okay. You're one of those people that has very good muscle memory that can adjust and not have a problem. My muscle memory is not that good. I need something that's a little more versatile. This can do all kinds of stuff, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about adjusting to it. See, with wood, it breaks down. The more you use the wood, the more it breaks down. Okay, it's just physics. It starts to get beaten up, and you have to switch and then hit it with another side of it. It slowly gets beaten up, and you have to eventually get rid of your wooden mallet and you use another one. But all during that time, it's never exactly the same every time you hit it. But some people's brains are very good at adapting. They can adapt to, starting out really good, and then after a month or so, it's kind of squishy and it's all beaten up. But their brain adapted to it. They don't have a problem. Me, I got a problem with it. I get problems with it. And it drives me up the wall. Yeah. And I break stuff, or I get frustrated that it's not doing it. And it's because it's getting all mushy. And sometimes when I'm using antler for the mallet, I'll take a chip off of it. And sometimes it'll hit weird. Oh, dang it, I hit on the chip spot. And it didn't do it. Now I got incipients, as an example. So it drives me up the wall. So I want stuff that I don't have to worry about too much. Yeah. What would I do back in the day? I'd make bone arrowheads. Bone arrowheads. Yeah. Probably end up making bone arrowheads. Not even messing with this stuff. Yeah. I'm going to do a demonstration one of these days to show you how fast it's possible to make a bone arrowhead without much effort. People think it takes forever. Yeah, it takes forever if you don't know how to grind it down efficiently. But if you know how to grind it down efficiently, it doesn't take that long. Some people take a stone this big to grind their bone arrowheads, and that's not the way to do it. But you'll see. That takes forever, yes. Have I used I don't know. Let's see. So you can use an adze to shape bone before you grind it. You know, you can take the bone and shape a lot of it before you start grinding it with an adze. Okay, but not everyone uses the adze. How many people have you seen using the adze on YouTube to make something like an arrowhead? Well, I've seen. I guess not. But they say it takes forever to make a bone arrowhead. But have you seen them using the adze to make the preform? No. Yeah. Just as an example, that's just one technique, right? Yeah. If you start with a bone that's already in a pretty good shape for an arrowhead, there's not much to do. As another example. Yeah. So there you go. All right, so is it good? No, it's not good. Kind of good. I need a file. That way I can this actually makes the edge brighter. It leaves a very fine powder. Yeah. When you use one of these files. It makes it nice and smooth too, so that helps. It helps with making solid contact so you don't lose energy in the tip to point contact. Yeah. If it's all mushy, any kind of mushy, like if it's all beat up and bent out of shape here and beat up and bent out of shape on the edge there, if they're all both beat up, there's some crushing that goes on before the actual main force acts on the flake. And that crushing absorbs a lot of energy. And hitting hard sometimes in that situation doesn't help. Because it just makes it more crushy. The harder you hit, the more crushed it gets. In some of those cases. So I'm using indirect percussion now to do the final thinning. Yeah, because I still need to take off some big flakes, and trying to do that with pressure requires way too much energy compared to this, compared to the indirect percussion. I just need to increase the speed of the mallet instead of increasing the amount of poundage I'm using for pressure. Much easier. Yeah, much easier for the same size of flake. The problem is sometimes you can get longer flakes with pressure. And if you can't get long flakes with the percussion, then you'll have to go to pressure. Some people, just for some reason, they have a hard time getting long flakes with the percussion, so they use pressure for the long flakes. Oh, I just watched Stonehook make a Clovis stone hook. That's a YouTube channel. And he used indirect percussion and a leather pad. He had something set up to where he would hit it like this and use a leather pad. And he made a pretty good Clovis, nice pretty Clovis. Yep. I don't like to make cosmetic, what I call cosmetic Clovises, or pretty ones. Most of the Clovises I've seen are not that pretty. So I'll try to make a pretty one every now and then for somebody, but I stopped doing it. If you look at most of the Clovis artifacts, those flutes are actually thinning flakes, and you get lucky with a long one. That's all it is. And it looks beautiful with a long flute. Yeah. I'm not denying that. I like the way it looks too. But most of the Clovis artifacts are like, meh. That's why they don't make casts of all the Clovis artifacts. Only the best, only the 1%. But those are the ones that get seen, so everyone thinks Clovises are symmetric and beautiful. You better shut up. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll shut up because you're talking about the 1%. Yeah, that's true about the 1% of them. But not about the whole shebang, the whole assemblage. So instead of using pressure flaking, I'm doing percussion flaking to get this nice and smooth, or hopefully smooth. I can't see very well with this lighting, but I always say that. I fuss too much about the lighting, but I really can't see. All right. Which makes it difficult to know if it's convex enough. It's got to be convex. The surface that you're running a flake on, if there's any weirdness like a dip or a step, it could mess it up with the thin stage, because everything's thin. You know, thin flakes act differently than thick flakes. Thin flakes, when you're working on a thin point, act differently than thick flakes on a thick point. That's why people, like especially new guys, they say, well, if I can get a biface, then I should be able to just whittle it down and get a nice point. It's a whole different ball game when it's thin flakes and a thin workpiece than it is thick flakes and a thick workpiece. Totally different mindset, totally different ball game. And you don't learn much one from the other. You know, it doesn't translate. Like if you can make bifaces, it doesn't translate to making tater chips. Okay? So to speak. All right. Come on. Ooh, that stepped. Why did it step fracture? I think it's because it's a little bit tougher right there, or it's more crunchy. One of the two. I can't tell. I think it's just more crunchy. It's not tougher. Oh, it almost did it. Yeah, that's what I don't like. I don't like when it almost does it, because then I end up with nasties. See, it almost did it. I'm trying to get these little flakes off the surface, and it keeps almost doing it every time, but it didn't completely do it. I'm getting down to the point where it's thin enough to where I can just sharpen it and make something out of it. Let me pick off those little remnants, and I'll get back to the chat because it's already past the time. Time has flown by tonight. I can't keep track of the time. I'm getting used to using a slotted pad, Mike. Mike Tufts, what have you done to me? I'm dependent on my slotted pad now. Yeah. What have you done? No, I mean, I have to be able to use it, to teach people how to use it. I got to be able to use it. People will say, you can't talk smack about slotted pads because you don't even use one, dude. You don't even know how to use it. What are you talking about? Yeah, you're right. I need to know how to use it before I can talk smack. Once I know how to use it, I can talk smack about it. So I'm excited. These don't pick. They don't pick. Okay, there it goes. There it goes. For a second there, I thought I was not going to be able to pick those out. Let me see. There. That's what it was. Right? It's just I couldn't get under the step fracture because this was too dull. Yes? No? Come on. It still doesn't want to do it. All right. One more shot. I need to get back to the chat. It's okay. We'll go over a little bit. Depends on how fast I can catch up with what's going on. And I'll try to answer questions if there's any. All right, so that's it. There's still some stepping going on the other side, but it's all right. Those are easy peasy, relatively speaking. Okay, so that's it. Let's see. So, let's see. That's side B. I like this side better, so it's side A. Okay, and most of this is just a matter of whittling it down. I lost, what, 3/4 of an inch or something off of that? So it's 2 3/4. It was probably going to be like 3 1/4 if I hadn't lost that bit. But that's still good size for a little dart point. And if I make it more narrow and thinner, it's good for an arrow point. It could be in that little dart point right now. Yeah, it's 1 inch wide. So yeah, from a block chunk, similar to that, you can still get one of these. Actually, the one I started with had a lot of issues, a lot of bad issues. This stuff might even be worse. But the main problem with this stuff is just the size. It's not even close to being long enough for this kind of point. Okay. Anyway, that was good. I mean, I'm glad I didn't snap this one in half. It is different. It naps differently on this side than it does this side. Yeah. And this side had the cortex. This side had the cortex. This one naps a little bit more cooperatively, believe it or not. This side gets a little bit crunchy. But as I started getting toward the middle, it became more consistent. So as I was taking off more of the cortex and taking off more of this dark area, it started to become more consistent. So it was easier to adjust to. Okay. All right, let's go to the end of the chat here. I get frustrated and use a hammer. Who's using hammer? Spalling big rocks. Patrick says, one thing I'm having trouble, probs, is fluting and notching. Welcome. Everybody has trouble with that. And if they're not, they're lying. Mike says, I tried fooling around with towing a fly once. Okay. Let me see if there's questions. Talking about duck hunting. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. The live stream is supposed to be over in about 3 minutes, but I'm going to look to see if there's questions in the chat. I don't see any. It looks like you guys were chatting about other stuff, which is perfectly good. Talking about geese, ducks. Oh, someone asked me if I tie flies. Nope, but I have looked into it. At one time, I thought I might want to do it, but I said no. No. I got to learn to say no. I do manage to say no sometimes, so I didn't start tying flies, although it looks pretty cool. Let's see. Jesse says 5% of real Clovis aren't the perfect textbook style. Yeah, 5%. That's a good estimate of Clovises that are Clovises, but they don't look like what they should look like. Yeah. They don't even have flutes. Some of them don't have flutes or big thinning flakes. And some of them are very flakery, which means they don't even have bold flaking at all. They're just all flakery. They got the outline, okay, but the interior flaking doesn't look like it's like a normal Clovis. It looks like someone picked and didn't even run big flakes. John Almager says, let's see how you make a bone arrowhead, Patrick. I got access to lots of whitetail and axis leg bones. Yeah, I need to do it. I need to do that. Yeah, I got to set up. It's all in the setup. That's what takes me forever. I got to set up a work area for making these bone implements, because once you can make bone arrowheads quickly, you can make needles, you can make other things out of bone, whatever, long, thin, flat, anything that you need. They would even put, toggles. I can't remember the name of it, but you can fasten garments with toggles, and some of those toggles are made from bone. Various things, awls and hairpins, combs, flintnapping tools out of bone. Once you know how to efficiently work with bone, you can make especially tips for flintnapping pretty quickly. Yeah, which is ironic, right? You make a tip for a pressure flaker that could also be used as an arrowhead, but you're using it to flake stone. Yeah. It can be ironic, but if you have a lot of stone available, it makes sense to use stone. But if you don't, then it makes sense to use bone. I've used modern equipment to make bone arrowheads on YouTube, right? I've got a couple of videos of making bone arrowheads, but I use modern tools. Let's see. Okay, I think that's it. Yes. Patrick says 4 hours of napping and I feel it at work, but I do it freehand and not on my leg. Yes. Ralph Snyder is talking about woodpecker lips again. David says, Mike, good luck on a red juniper bow. They kick my can I like hickory? You guys are funny. I can't read all these comments. Yeah. I mean, I could, but it's not that kind of channel. What's the difference between a Clovis and a Folsom? Asks David Rushing. What's the difference? OCD. Yeah. That's the difference? Yeah. But I thought it was blah, 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 hunting, blah, blah, bison, blah, blah, plains. No. OCD. They've hunted the same game. Okay? The same game, the same animals, the same place, the same areas. They hunted exactly the same things, but made different points. One was normal, one was OCD. Okay, there you go. I don't like that answer because it doesn't sound archaeological enough. It doesn't sound archaeological enough. Okay, well, oh well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. I enjoyed this. I'm trying to find more questions, but I don't see. If I missed your question, I apologize. You can ask, please, in a different or in the comment section or whatever, just in case. I gotta send somebody information on obsidian. I forgot to put this out, but someone wants obsidian, so I gotta give him some obsidian sources. AJ Williams needs obsidian. AJ Williams. Sometimes he's in the chat. I'm not sure if he was here today. And I was going to give him my contact information for my sources. Right? So AJ Williams needs obsidian. I'm not sure if I can give out Bill Taylor's. Let's see. Are we okay with the video? It seems like it was going out. Anyway, I get obsidian from Bill Taylor, but I'm not sure if I can give out his email. Ed Gould says, nice blade, Patrick. Thank you. All right. I think that was it for my notes to remember during the video. So one of the good things about the comment section here is that we can make contacts for people that need certain materials. Let's see. How's your small points coming along? They come along just fine, just great. All right, guys. I think that's it. Yep. Good night, everybody. Good to see everybody. Next live stream is on Monday, 4 to 6? Yeah, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. Monday. I'll see you then. Aaron Wilson, I can give him some obsidian. You can give AJ Williams some obsidian? Cool. But yeah. Awesome. Thank you. David Rushing says, do the really small bird points fit on blowgun darts? Aaron Wilson says I can give him an email. Yeah, real small points will fit on blowgun darts, but I don't think that's what they were used for. But that's my opinion. Because I've shot blowgun darts, and if I put anything on the tip, it breaks. But I've got to do more testing. I might have just ran into some bad luck. Let's see. I need to write this down, or I'll totally forget. Because Aaron and AJ. Okay, Aaron Wilson. Thanks, Aaron. Hold on here. Okay, I'll do that. And it's written really big so I can see it. Yep. All right. Good night, everybody. Okay. See you next time. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.